This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Time to talk with Alyssa Orange from Pig Trail Nation here on this lovely Friday-ish Wednesday on halftime. Happy Friday to you, Alyssa. That's what we're treating today as. We got no show tomorrow, no show Friday. What are you planning the next couple of days? Because we got games to cover.
Yes, yeah. No, technically today's my Monday, so happy Friday to everybody else.
That sucks.
But yeah, tomorrow, but tomorrow, with Thanksgiving, we'll probably head to Columbia midday, do some stuff. We've got a game day show Friday, and then, of course, the game Friday. So Thanksgiving is always nice, but it's never a vacation for us in TV.
And you got a rush coming back, too. There's Elite Eight soccer. Hey!
Yeah.
Elite Eight soccer in Tallahassee. Hey, so how do you handle that? I remember Arkansas and Florida State playing in the College World Series, a heartbreaking 1-0 loss for the Hogs. We'll bring up Florida State with you every chance we get. How do you got to be an impartial observer to these games, Alyssa, no cheering.
I do, yeah. No, well, when I was in Omaha, I didn't work that game. I dressed in all black, and I went into the stands and kind of hid, and then, just kind of sat there quietly and just watched what was a very stressful 1-0 game. That Florida State did win that game. So it'll be interesting. I would love to see this program, speaking of Arkansas, win a national title in soccer. I think it deserves one. Florida State has won its fair share of national titles. I don't know if that kind of says which way I'm leaning, because obviously I love my alma mater. Their soccer program pretty historic and has built a reputation. But if anyone needs food recommendations in Tallahassee, you can call me. That's what we'll talk about.
Oh, I just want to see Arkansas win a national championship in something that doesn't involve track or cross country, and that's nothing against those two programs. Yeah. I mean, they earn everything that they get, but there's always that, the but. So you got all these teams that are close to competing for the Natty or winning the Natty. Baseball, softball, soccer, men's basketball. Just to the cusp of the Final Four. It's like we're still waiting for. We need that breakthrough. One breakthrough, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and I think it would be huge if this soccer program can get it done. They're talented enough to do it. There's a lot of talent. To teams still left in the field, obviously, but, man, it would be pretty awesome if Colby Hale and that group can come back from Cary, North Carolina, where the Final Four is for soccer, with a national title. So
how do you view last night's loss to Creighton? Because if it was March, we would be, looking at, they got to get this kind of player on the team, and, maybe Mussa's plan doesn't quite work to get to the Final Four if this was an Elite Eight game or something like that. But it's not March. This isn't the one that ends the season. This is the one that sort of helps you measure where you are against the other teams that are probably national contenders, of which Creighton very well could be. So, I mean, I don't look at yesterday as like, gosh, they lost. That's terrible. They played really well. Creighton had to play their best, and that doesn't even bring up the officiating.
I think you have to just be impressed with where this team is in November, with so many new pieces and faces and still trying to figure things out and roles being earned and adjusted and adapted, that this is a team that has that number 9 ranking in front of it and could hold that ranking and why they deserve that ranking early on in November. We've seen some teams already this year who are ranked high who have fallen short a little bit or slipped up or made mistakes. I think this Arkansas team has shown that even though they have so much room for growth, where they are right now is a phenomenal place to be and a good place to be. And, a couple things go differently. I mean, even if Anthony Black was fouled on that last 3-point shot at the end of the game and goes to the line to tie the game with a free throw, this game could go either way. And that's a Creighton team that's got a lot of talent and a lot of experience, as opposed to an Arkansas team that was playing a lot of new faces and not as much experience. It's exciting also, and everyone will say it, that Nick Smith Jr. has still yet to play. So what does that add to the mix? So I think at the end of the day, yes, you want to win that game, but holy cow, if this is a glimpse into what we're going to get this entire season, sign me up again and again.
Yeah, listen, we can see the players and the rotation that Coach Muss is going to kind of use. You kind of see already the formula to add Nick Smith to that. It's going to be fun to watch. What are your thoughts on the game tonight? That San Diego State team, how'd they look in their couple games?
Yeah, I know it's going to be another competitive one. Again, it'll be another top 10, 20 matchup with San Diego State coming in at 17. And I think this Arkansas team is probably a little hungry after what happened last night against Creighton. It's a late tip, which I hate, a 9 o'clock tip for us because it'll just be later in the evening. But I expect Arkansas to come back out and do exactly what they've done these first two games, where they were able to easily handle Louisville, and then we saw what Texas Tech just did to Louisville. So I don't necessarily know how much that says about that game, but still held their own and really dominated. And then, yet last night, just playing so well. I think if there's any kind of adjustments I'd like them to see is just obviously continuing to pass the ball a little bit more and play a little bit more sharper defense. I think there were times, obviously, where against Creighton you could tell that, okay, Trevin Brazile is just an example. Okay, Trevin Brazil's down below under the basket, not paying attention to his guy, and that's that play where Nimhard was able to run and dunk that at the end of the game. It's kind of more court awareness is what I'm getting at. Would love to see against San Diego State, but I think they leave Hawaii 2-1. Come back. It'll be fun to watch.
That was my next question was who, speaking of this rotation, who do you see that maybe can break through this rotation, especially when Nick Smith gets back, that some minutes are going to get cut back. Is it Graham the guy or Pinion? Who do you think is maybe somebody else that's going to get into that rotation this year?
Yeah, I would love for it to be Jalen Graham. I think he's really talented, and they were saying, he was coming off the bench as like the ninth guy off the bench. And this kid is uber talented. It just says to what kind of depth that they have. Pinion is a great guy, too, that I think if you need that big shot, a three, you need offense. You can sub him in and out. It was cool to see him in at the end of that game. But I want more Jalen Graham. I mean, we've seen him in practices, and we've seen him in the red-white game. He has got some moves, specifically those spin moves, that you don't see from anyone else on this team. And if he can kind of get it going to where he can kind of come in and give really, really beneficial, 10 minutes of work or so, 10 minutes of work, I think it could be beneficial for this Arkansas team in that depth.
I wonder, I've been thinking the same thing about him. I don't know if Muss likes him very much. You heard he was dogging on defense at Texas. That's why he didn't play in the opener. He's barely played since. He gets on the court for
He's done it a little bit, Phil, and already this season, and that was kind of the joke is he going to get to play if you're not going to play defense? And he's kind of the only one. You see everybody else out there hustling.
That's what I mean. It's like that's what I meant about Nick Smith. It's like I haven't seen him play. I just can't imagine that he's going to be recruited here and not expect that you got to D up first and foremost. And, maybe he's a little different because he's such an explosive offensive player. But, Alyssa, Graham might be an explosive offensive player too, but he's barely getting on because they played 5 games. He's played in 3 of them. He's averaging 8 minutes. This is an all Pac-12 guy. I don't get it yet.
I know. And I think you kind of do have to go back to the way that just Musselman sets things up. And we've seen historically, I'm not saying obviously he can't change because we're seeing it right now. This is someone who was playing 7, maybe 8 guys, and now we're getting into that 8, 9, maybe 10 if Nick Smith Jr. comes back. But he's a hard guy to break. If you upset him early on in the season, it is hard to come back from that.
Yeah. Because
you're not going to have the playing time to prove yourself, right? So it's a little tough in that regard. But if Jimmy or if Jalen Graham can just continue to prove himself in practice, we might see him more and more. But it's kind of grudge isn't the right word, but it's definitely if early on you're not doing what you need to be doing, it's hard for Eric Musselman to give you second and even third chances once the season has started.
You know what it reminds me of, Alyssa? It's like there are certain things that a player in any sport has to do in order to be put in the lineup card or be given, X amount of plays or to start and get X amount of minutes in basketball. I think of Dave Van Horn and pitchers that don't throw strikes. And they get their chance February or March. You don't throw strikes.
I got to trust you. Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed your season.
I need to
not
trust you.
Pitching.
I need to trust you're going to do the right thing out there. Yep.
It's the same with Muss and playing defense. You don't D up. You're not going to play for him. And you know what it's like. If you're not in that rotation by mid-January,
it's tough to get into it.
Might as well not even have the uniform.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we saw that. I think, Jackson Robinson might be a great example from a year ago. We saw Jackson Robinson shine a little bit in some games, and then some things happened where he just was put in there and wasn't able to execute at a level that Musselman wanted him to, and we rarely saw Jackson Robinson ever again on that whole entire run. You get your opportunity, and if you don't take the most of it, there are 12 other dudes who are just as talented as you are. I don't need to play you if I don't have to. So we'll see.
I do want to ask you about the World Cup a little bit. Who have you watched any of it? And who's your team? Who are you going for?
I haven't watched any of it yet, but I usually will watch. And so my go-to team that's not USA is the Netherlands because they wear orange. Mm-hmm. And even though that's not part of their flag colors.
Make a note, Maddie. We got to play the Dutch national anthem next Wednesday.
Can you name any of their players? Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, Matt. I can't. But I love that they wear orange and the Duke of Orange, and I just like the royal family. I just feel connected to them, and I always cheer for the Netherlands.
Fair enough.
Works for me, Alyssa. It works
right?
for me. I wonder why people.
It's the only time I will ever be like, well, I like their uniform color, so I'll cheer for them.
Will you watch Friday? Will you watch USA take on England Friday?
Football.
Yeah, if I can.
I got you.
We've got a game at 2:30. And then there is a certain rivalry game between my alma mater and my weekend anchor's alma mater that's happening Friday night.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are shaking in your boots about that game after they lost to Vanderbilt. Goodness gracious.
I'm super excited. If that's any
I'm sure you are.
Football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.